Hello, and thank you for joining us on the Solutions Pod, where we're exploring ways to unlock our human potential on all kinds of levels, including health, the environment, and society at large. I'm your host, Jay Harvey Lewis, and today's discussion is all about sustainable fashion. And I'm trying my best here with my upcycled tie-dye shirt, but fashion is clearly not something I know much about, which is why I'm delighted to have Anastasia Vazovic, who is one of our teammates at NatureHub, who is doing some amazing work also with Wild Chain to protect endangered animals. And today's guest, Gabriela Rocafort, also known as the Vegan in Heels. By the way, we're recording from 3 separate continents. I'm in Taiwan, Anastasia's in the UK, and Gabriela is in Zephyr Hills, Florida, not far from where I grew up. So this is a global conversation, and we'd love for you to join us in the comments or by going to naturehub.com and navigating over to the community section. Gabriela, thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you here on the Solutions Pod.
Thank you guys so much for the invite. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gabriela. So happy to see you here. So I suppose everyone's curious about your story now. So how did you get into eco-lifestyle blogging?
Absolutely. All right. Well, I started blogging 3 years ago on my website, veganinheels.com. And everything started after I had my first child. Her name is Luna. She's 5 years old now. And when I became a mom, I decided to look for, I realized that there were a lot of things that I could be doing way better. I started with a vegan diet, and starting with that, I realized that there are a lot of other things that I could be doing that related to the topics that I have always liked, like fashion. I've been involved in fashion, and my love for fashion has been always there because my mom creates, she designs and stuff like that. So it's something that I grew up with. And then a couple of years ago, I realized that everything is connected, and there's a huge gap in the industry that is making me feel uncomfortable with how things are right now from the vegan perspective. So I realized that there are a lot of things that we can be doing, but the information, especially for Latin American countries, is not as commonly found. So I decided to create a resource for people who are looking for better ways of doing things, especially related to fashion and beauty. And I started to create my blog, which is fully in Spanish, even if I still have some information in English as well for people everywhere, in the US and also on Latin America. So we can have that information available, and we can see how many businesses, brands, and companies are creating new things more consciously and responsibly.
Wow, that's really awesome. I'm so glad that you're expanding access to this information to the Spanish-speaking community. I actually was reading one of your articles, and I think I got about 98% of it. Fortunately, I speak un poquito español. And it was the article on fast fashion and why we should care about it. So I'm kind of curious, what are the biggest problems with fast fashion, and just how people can break the cycle?
With fast fashion? Well, the thing with fast fashion and the industry in general is that right now, in the very beginning when the fashion industry started, centuries ago, the company developed through 2 major fashion seasons, spring, summer, and winter and fall. So in the very beginning, we created fashion to for our needs, to meet our needs for the change of temperature during the year. But after that, people realized that fashion was an amazing way of expressing yourself and find it an art. So that way we decided to start creating more because we want to have more pieces. And the brands decided to create more and more collections every single year to meet that need. So right now we are facing an increase of approximately 52 different collections instead of 2 every single year from every brand in the world, which is creating a couple of different problems. Like, first of all, is the climate change problem, and it's because of the pollution that the industry created with the amount of like massive production that is being like constantly on track, you know. That's one. Also, the fact that they're using like chemicals and toxins and stuff like that that are bad for the environment and our health as well. Just to be like, you know, the basic problems of it. Um, Everything because of the cost and the fact that the brands want to get like wealthy with this sales is the fact that it's going through um, social, all the different social problems, just like fair trade problems. Like right now, companies are not paying enough to the people who are working with the creation of the garments, and not only the factories, but the people who is involved in the different process of the creation of a piece of clothes. Because I know people really think that it's just the people who actually sew the clothes, or the people who are selling them, but the production is massive, and it has a lot of different steps in the chain, and none of the people is getting paid properly, which leads us to poverty, like around the world, especially on like less developed countries that do not have the support of the government to make sure that that the people is having like decent working conditions. And other than that, well, from the vegan perspective, there's a lot of animal exploitation within the industry, not only because of the incredible amount of contamination that is producing, but also because of the use of animal-based or animal byproducts and fabrics and other kind of materials that are used in the industry, which is also a life problem and a contamination problem, like I said. The world who really loves fashion and want to be like on trend and want to follow the big brands, where we're experiencing that problem right now as well. So pretty much in a like summary of everything, that's pretty much it. It's contamination, is pollution, is human rights problems, is fair trade problems, and it's animal and resource exploitation.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah. And even for those who aren't vegans, I know many people who are just becoming very conscious of the fact that factory farming is just, such an awful system. And, it's really surprising just how many products end up with like random animal parts in it. Like wine is one of the examples that I was just shocked to find out. Like, people drink wine and they think it's vegan. Well, a lot of times it's really not.
I started the blog because, as I said, my awakening became from me becoming a vegan. But even if you're not a vegan, there are a lot of other issues that are related to the topic, and you can feel like there's something that is like affecting every single person in the world right now.
So people needed fashion to keep warm and then, sustain themselves in other different seasons. Then I went into art, and now it's in business. So it's just business now, and not much of it is art, or not much of it is actually me. So I suppose you must have some sustainable tips in order to advise people on how to be in this current world, because many of us, we just follow what we see online, and there isn't much sort of route to take that is definitely green. Because whenever you take a green route over time, there are things you find out that you think you're doing are green, but they're not. So what are you?
I would say that the main tip for sustainability in every single aspect, not only fashion, is to really, really start to evaluating our consumption. And because that's the only way that we can realize that we're like the amount of things like in general that we consume that we don't need is ridiculous. And when we start thinking about how much we really need the things that we're buying, we're gonna realize that they like, if our consumption, like in general, we can lower it down, we are gonna be producing like help like supporting those companies way less, and also producing way less waste as well. So that will be my tip. There's a lot of greenwashing out there, especially within the fashion industry, because the topic is getting popular. People are getting like, there's an awakening. People is getting interested and is getting to understand what's the importance of this topic. So a lot of companies are taking advantage of it and selling themselves as if they were interested in it as well, obviously because of profit. So it's really hard to be like, just look for the green brands, because I know for the people who starting, it might be something really difficult. But I will say that always try to learn more, look for more information, try to dig a little bit deeper when you're in a journey to like remake your closet or find that new piece of clothes that you need for some specific reason. Like there are a lot of different ways that we can get clothes without having to spend money on brands in general. Like for example, closet swapping. There's a lot of companies that are doing like secondhand. Also the opportunity to rent clothes. So those are different options that you can use. The clothes that is already been created, it's clothes that is out there in the world, and the people already paid for it. So it's a way of keeping it alive and expanding its life. Is a great way to reduce the waste in general.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, if you're lucky, you might be like me and find your new favorite hat just laying around. I found my favorite hat laying in the ocean. It was called
Wow.
yeah. So I used to be a mountain guide, and I found an it says International Mountain Guides or something. Anyway, the fashion industry really isn't on like most people's radar when they think about like climate change and things like that. It's but as you pointed out in your article, 35% more land is being used or will be used if our current trend like continues by 2030, just because of this fast fashion trend. So this is like a very, very big topic, for the environment, for people, and for the. I'm also looking at your article. 93% of people that are working for brands that are paying below a living wage to people, mostly migrant factory workers in the third world. So.
And also in America, that's something that most people don't know. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this information in Spanish, because it's not that people is not talking about it. It is, but we think that it's something not related to us. And like maybe like being on like you guys that are on the other side of the world right now in another continent, you can feel it because it's closer to you. But for some people in Latin America, it's like, well, this is happening, but it's not related, and it's a problem that is worldwide. Factories like this exist in Colombia, in Mexico, in Venezuela. So it's a big, big, big topic.
Yeah. Do you mind going into that a little bit? Like what? And if you don't know that's fine. But I'm kind of curious. What are the conditions like? I've heard in certain parts of China, people will just go from factory to factory, like just trying to find work for the day. And if there's too many people, it's kind of like they have to line up to work. And so at that in that position, they're just getting paid, the lowest rate possible. Is that what it's like in Latin America?
Just for like you have like an idea of wage, because people, and that's something I would love to go deep into, is that people think that the workers' condition, the fact that they're not good is just because they're not being paid well. And it's not that. Like, that's ridiculous and that's a big issue, but it's not all of it. Just so you have an idea about wage, people make about a 4% of a garment, like the price of a garment. So if your shirt only costs $4, well, only 4% of those $4 are going back to the people who actually made the piece. And as I said, this chain is enormous. It's not only like the literally the person who went down like to a sewing machine and made the piece. So other than that, the conditions, like they are not having people on places that are sanitized or that have like all the basic needs a person will need to actually do their job. They do not have, obviously, they do not have any kind of benefits. They do not believe in anything like overtime or anything like that. So those people have to work 13, 14, 15 hours a day without a break, just working, because it's like most of the places, the wage is based on production, so they have to produce in order to gain money. Other than that, if you're not familiar with this kind of movement, couple of years, like yeah, decades ago, was created the Fashion Revolution. This is an organization that is working to create awareness and provide more information about this kind of topics. And everything started with an incident that happened in Rana Plaza, where a building collapsed, like on top of all the people who was actually working there. And that way is where it became like such a big topic to talk about, like these people is working like this, like unsafe conditions, unsafe places, no kind of benefits, like no security, no sanitation at all. And in those kind of situations, because the poverty and everything like that, there's a lot of slavery, there's a lot of child labor, and there's a lot of sexual abuse and like harassment, because people, again, people need the money, people are there because they need the money in these different situations, because the huge like poverty that the government is not taking care of. So it's all like a chain, a big chain. But the thing is that, as you can see, over the fact that they're not getting paid.
Sound quite serious, and yeah, I mean, as sad as it sounds, like those type of serious dramas, they do make people realize, and that's what brings light on that issue. So in a way, that's something like that has to happen for people to realize. Yeah, many people can talk about it, but until there is something like that. I wanted to also ask, like, you do, obviously, we've been through your blog and we've been through your Instagram page and through your articles. Really fascinating and a lot to learn. And I suppose it attracts many people who are already interested in that information, who are looking for that information. But do you try and influence people offline as well? Do you try and target those people who maybe are not really interested in that, but you do want them to hear about it? Because there is a bit of a stigma around teaching people who are not asking to be taught, like sort of trying to influence people who are, not looking for it. So how do you go about that?
Well, actually, as I said, I started my blog like 3 years ago when I moved from Puerto Rico to Tampa. And in the very beginning, I started it because I just wanted to like put all the information that I was learning out there for people to find it easily. But like with my job and stuff like that, I stopped it, or I was doing it like part time, like on my side hustle, something that I really liked and like my hobby. But like on my real life, like outside of the social media and everything like that, where I started to work on the restaurant industry, and I was not feeling like I was doing something that I liked, something that I was feeling proud of doing, because it was not aligned with my intentions. So I decided to this year started like my own going out there, and like you said, and start working on events and like getting this word out of there, and trying to, like, I had the opportunity to get communication with one of the most amazing persons, like, who is working on veganism on Puerto Rico, who is like the owner of the vegan fest event in Puerto Rico. So I got the opportunity to put my name out there and speak a little bit more about fast fashion and vegan beauty, and why is it important to know about it. And I fall in love with that opportunity, and I been wanted to do it a lot more. But after the pandemic, our life changes. Like I'm pretty sure everybody feels exactly the same. But for me, it was a great opportunity to be fully dedicated to my blog and to my platforms. So right now I'm looking to for this pandemic, to slow down and everything goes a little bit back to normal so we can actually do it. But like I said, my experience was amazing, and that's exactly what I wanted to do, like moving forward after this situation.
So I'm really curious about what you're doing because a lot of times I'll meet people who are living a vegan lifestyle or a sustainable lifestyle, and you don't usually hear those terms kind of I guess mixed so well. Like a lot of times it's like, well, I'm not wearing the leather, but like there's not very much mindfulness on like the other harmful things that might be going into those products. So I'm kind of wondering like what your advice is on like, I guess, being sustainable, like, in fashion and just in life in general.
Well, as I said before, my main like there's nothing else that I can say better than actually evaluating our consumption and realizing that we are like, if we want to become responsible and sustainable consumers, we have to understand that we are consuming a lot more than what we need. And that way we can start from that, and like after that we can start evaluating the things that we really need and finding ways to do it, like buy them or get them in a more sustainable way we can. For example, like I started like this because I think it's the easiest way, and it's what actually made me open my mind to different possibilities and realize that everything is actually connected. And it was to like, on my very beginning when I started my vegan diet, I was like, well, I need to buy toothpaste. Let me do a quick Google search to sustainable toothpaste or vegan toothpaste. And that way I realized that there were a lot of different options on that same article that I needed already. And like it might look overwhelming in the very beginning because we will be like, oh, now I have to do like for everything sustainable. But when we realize that we don't need as much things as we think we do, we know that that list is going to be way smaller than what we think, and it's going to be way easier, and always be open to new possibilities and to be connected and follow people that can be like can lead you on that way, and of course that can work as an inspiration for you, so you can actually feel like you're doing something great for the world and not overwhelmed.
Yeah, I know exactly what Jasmine is talking about. It's very impressive to hear you kind of cover such a broad area. Because when someone's vegan or vegetarian, you know exactly where they stand with their beliefs and their habits. But when someone says, I'm into sustainable fashion, you don't know where exactly that stands. Because this could be anything, as Justin said, it could be just the leather, or it could be, a lot deeper than that. So that depends. But bringing all that together, so you're a vegan, you're a sustainable fashion blogger, you're a mother. So all of this put together, how do you raise your child? So is it just leading by example and you think that's absolutely enough? Or is it more that you do in order to raise a child in your sort of standards and beliefs?
I think that people underestimate children a lot, and if you give them the right tools, they're gonna know exactly what to do. As I said, my girl, like my oldest, is 5 years old, Luna, and as I said, I didn't ever have that talk that we are gonna be vegans from now on because this and that. Like, if we give them the tools, they're gonna know how to use them. And like for example, in my case, I started my vegan diet because of her. So that's the only thing she knows. But she understands when she see people different, like eating differently, that we do not eat that for some reason. And when she has the doubts, because they're gonna happen, like they're gonna ask you, and that way you will have the opportunity to actually tell them the way that I will say that the kinder way possible to tell the information. For me, it's really important that my girl, that the reason I'm deciding to do all these changes is because I believe in love, and I believe in kindness, and I believe in respecting everybody's like beliefs. So in order for me to do that, I cannot tell my girl, they are doing this wrong and you're doing this right. because it's not the right way. Like she's gonna be judgmental against people. So my approach is always to be like, we do this because we believe in this. Do you believe in it? And if she said yes, well, I will go deeper and I will explain. And I will be like, some people do not know that information yet, or some people do not believe the same things that we do. So that's why they act different. You can decide to do whatever you like. You can decide to do whatever you feel best and whatever goes aligned to what you believe. So if like in my case, talking about veganism, like, do you love animals? Do you want to, like, do you believe in that you get everything you need from plants? Well, you can eat like that. But if you at some point decide that you want to do something different, you're allowed to have your own like mind, your own opinion about it.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I think when I have kids, I think I might follow that advice too. Yeah, people don't like being told what to do, so yeah.
Kids don't either.
Yeah, kids don't either. So yeah, it's like sometimes the things that we try to tell them not to do are the exact things that come back to us. So
we don't want them to be like us. We don't want them to act like us. We want them to be better than us. And the only way that we can do that is giving them the tools to actually analyze what's going on about like in the world, so they can in the future like make the right choices, not be like, mom, what should I do?
Yeah, just making that connection to, do you like what's happening here? Is this okay with you? And then getting them to actually process, oh no, I'm not okay with that, so what do I do now? So it's a wonderful example, and thank you for leading the way there. I'm very curious about the Tampa Bay area, and I guess right now you're in Zephyr Hills, and like energy like over there, are people starting to get it? Are they realizing that ethical fashion and or sustainable like consumption is a big deal over there? I know a little bit because I was in the area, but it's been a while. So if you don't mind, just kind of letting us know.
Sure. Well, as you know, like for the past 7 or 8 months, we've been like probably like locked down, most of the people. So people like right now, I will not be comfortable saying like specifically this is what is going on. But before that, since I'm like I said, I'm still new in the Tampa area, but I've been seeing a great development on sustainable alternatives, especially the zero waste store. Like I know a couple of stores that had opened in here, and they're like offering amazing products, like everyday like household products, for beauty products, cleaning products, stuff like that. And that's amazing. And I had the opportunity to speak with one of the owners, because the new store that like the newest that I know is located in Tampa. And he was telling me that he has already like about 400 regular people that go every single month to refill their products, and that's amazing for me. And about the fashion, well, I think this is still a pretty like new topic for a lot of people, but it's amazing to see businesses that are being developed with that mentality. Just like that, I also know, to give you a couple of examples, in the Sandpit area, there's a huge community for sustainable living, as well as vegan alternatives, restaurants, small food places, especially in Sandpit area and Tampa. And as well as, even I know like a couple of nail salons and hair salons that are using sustainable products, cruelty-free products, that are from ethical brands, as well as offering like cruelty-free services, so and non-toxic and fume-free. So definitely people is moving towards sustainability, and I know that as much as people get to know a little bit more and they start supporting these new businesses that are actually, all of the ones that I know are small businesses from local entrepreneurs, this is going to be like huge in a couple of years.
Do you want to maybe share a few names for our local listeners? Because I'm sure like people would love to know like which ones are your favorites and which ones should they explore.
Oh, of course. In the St. Peter area, as I was telling, zero waste stores, there's one that is called Sands Market. Love it. They have everything. There's also a new one in the Tampa area that is called Lufka. Totally in love with it. Vegan places, I could name a few because there's like literally everything. There's this new business that is called Ground Foods from Italian food. One of my favorites, Vegan International, Pharmacy Vegan Kitchen. Both are like subs, sandwiches, hamburgers, stuff like that. There's a really, really cute restaurant in St. Pete that is called Cider Press Cafe. That is a like full restaurant and it's beautiful. And actually, I work with one of the places of businesses that I was telling you about. It's called Luna Looks Nail Loft. The loft is completely fume free and non-toxic, and they have a lot of vegan and cruelty free options, and they're like everything about like sanitation and health of the people who's going to the place, as well as the lot of different Aveda salons that is also like a brand committed to sustainability and using like better production ways that are more like conscious and sustainable and responsible as well. So just to give you a couple of like top of my mind businesses in the area.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the nail salons starting to go fume free. When I was living in Costa Rica, I used to take the bus, and a lot of times you'd have somebody putting their nail polish on or removing their nail, and it's like the fumes would make me like feel sick, and I think people don't usually appreciate on the human level, like the people working in those jobs, like it is impacting their health, and sure they're getting used to it and getting okay with it, but I think it's time for us to all start asking those questions that you're asking your daughter, like do we want these people
exactly
to like
people don't think there's another option than that, and it's like, well, if I want to get my nails done, I will have to be there for a couple of minutes just smelling that like awful, like regular toxic smell that is gonna like be unhealthy for me and for the technicians, but it is what it is. But no, like there's a lot of different great options that we can like start exploring.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll definitely try. I mean, I'm trying to keep my nails like free of anything just because I didn't know there is an alternative. So that's amazing to know that there is for different occasions, and now I can explore that further.
Yeah, me too. My nails are the filter. Like, yeah, my fingers are like going away in the filter. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose lastly, I'd love to hear about your future plans or anything, maybe ideas that you have for where you want to grow, develop further. Obviously, you did mention about live events, which is super exciting. Is there anything else?
Well, my main focus right now is to like go fully on my blog. As I said, my intention with it was to get the word out there and like keep talking about it, because I feel like as like if we talk about this more, people is gonna get like interested in the topic more, and there's gonna be a lot of other people like joining the movement. So I think that's really important, and I feel like it's my it's my duty now. Like I feel like responsible of that platform that I created with so much love. So my main focus is that, and obviously keep connecting with new entrepreneurs that are working to create businesses focused on sustainability, because it's amazing to see the ones that are like transitioning, but it's great to see how people is willing to sacrifice those first years of investment on doing something that is good for the people, good for health, good for the environment, even if it's not the most like rewarding business in the start. And it's for me a pleasure and a great it's amazing for me to see how they start and support them in the way so they can actually go to get to know, like get to be known, and like people can understand that they have new options and new better options to do things. So those are my main focus right now, as well. Like as I said, we love to do like physical events to get the opportunity to put other people who are talking about sustainability from different perspectives and not only fashion, and see how everything is connected. So people can see how everything is connected and see how even if you don't feel like this topic is for you because like you don't love fashion, you're not as fashionable, well, maybe you can do things on living, on your profession, or the way you're eating. Like there are other ways to contribute to the cause. So would love to have the opportunity to work with that too.
Well, it's really good to have you on the NatureHub platform. And yeah, we know the journey is definitely a struggle, and we're glad to have you on that journey of, you know, putting the first few years of kind of building it up, and and not really getting too much back out of it. But yeah, I know a few people that run events in the Tampa Bay area, so I'll put them in touch with you, because you're
absolutely
at speaking about these issues. And so how can people find out more about what you're doing? How can they find your website and all your social media and things like that?
Absolutely. Well, you can find me on my website as veganinheals.com, and also through my online platforms like my social media, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, as One Vegan in Heels.
And are you wearing heels right now?
I am not.
Okay,
I'm wearing shoes right now.
Thanks for being on. So we have the vegan in heels, but not actually in heels right now.
Actually in heels right now.
Well, it's a great website, and it's also a great tool for people who are trying to get into this, and they're, you know, the language that they speak is Spanish, and I thank you very much for doing that, and I'm enjoying to practice my Spanish a little bit as I'm reading.
That's awesome. I'm glad to have you guys be here, and thank you again so much for this opportunity. I love to have the opportunity to speak a little bit about what I love with people that actually love like sustainability and are willing to, you know, look for different opportunities and options to make this world a better one for everybody.